Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today we're going to be doing this extremely fun whimsical tumbler. Now, I have seen these toppers everywhere, and I knew I just had to give this a try. But of course, I'm not just going to do the topper, we're also going to do the entire tumbler itself. As always, I want to make sure to put everything that I used today into the description below so that way you guys can shop those items if you'd like to. So let's wake up, prep those tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. I am starting out with a 17-ounce porch sipper from Mother Tumbler. These are a double-walled stainless steel tumbler that resemble a mason jar. As you can see, I've already prepped and painted my tumbler. Now, I used a neon yellow, which I'll show you here in a second, but the first thing I wanted to do before I did the neon yellow was I painted it white. Then I came right back over with this fluorescent yellow, just so that way I knew that those colors would really stand out against our design here. I find that fluorescent spray paints are very translucent, so definitely adding a base before you paint will help out a lot. Now I'm going to show you guys here, I just tape off my rim. This is exactly what I did whenever I painted as well, but I took the tape off so that way it didn't get stuck to my paint and peel off when I went to go peel it off. So I'm going to go ahead and reapply my tape here. You just want to do it right at the base of that lip there, at the very top of the tumbler, right before the screws for the lid. You don't want to paint the screws for the lid or anything like that. So you just want to go right around the rim there and tape it off completely before we apply our epoxy. Once you have that all taped off, now it is time to apply the glitter. Now the glitter that I am using today, it is from my glitter line. It is called Moonstone. I thought it went really well over this base. It kind of gave lots of very opalescent colors over top and added to the whimsy, I thought. And the epoxy that I like to use is Alumilite's Amazing Clear Cast. But as always, please feel free to use whatever you already have on hand to make these tumblers. There is no right or wrong here, guys. Now I'm going to apply my glitter with the epoxy method. Now please feel free again to do it any way you feel comfortable applying your glitter, but this is just my preferred method. I just like how everything kind of lays flat once I apply my glitters to it. Now right after I apply my glitter, I'm going to go ahead and peel my tape off. Then I'm going to let it stand up and dry, or cure rather, for about 6 hours. Then I'm going to go ahead and add another coat of epoxy. I'm going to let that cure for another 6 hours, and then we'll be ready to move on to that next step. Now here she is all glittered up, and this again is right before that second coat of epoxy. So make sure you put another coat of epoxy over this after that 6 hours is up, and then we're going to come through and we're going to give it a good sanding. Now here it is the next morning. Everything is nice and cured. That second coat is good to go. I'm making sure that my lid can fit on there nice and snug without it lifting up or anything like that. And I noticed that there are some glitters that are making it not be able to shut all the way. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to slice those super pointy glitters off. Now, because these are opalescent glitters and they are made out of a very good material, I can do this. If you were using a metallic glitter, because there is a certain film in the middle which make it reflect and make it holographic or metallic, you can't do that with those kind of glitters. So don't do that with anything metallic or holographic. You only want to do that with opalescent type glitters or translucent type glitters. Then after I am all done trim everything up, I'm going to go give it a nice wet sanding in my sink. I'm going to start with my 100 grit. Then I'm going to make my way down to my 500 grit sandpaper, making sure I don't scratch up that rim at all. Then once I am all done, I'm going to come through and I'm going to dry it off really good. And we will be ready to add our decals. Now we are ready to move on to our decals here. Now these decals, you can obviously use whatever kind of decals you'd like. This is just what I picked. Now the decals that I bought here, they actually come with an offset already, so you don't have to worry about doing an offset yourself, which was completely amazing. And I will make sure to put her shop into the description below, so that way you guys can check out her shop and check out all the things she has to offer. But she does offer a lot of things that already have an offset for those of us that just don't like doing them or don't really know how to do those offsets. Now, the way that I like to do my offset is I will apply the bottom layer first, then I will come through and actually completely detach the top layer, and I just kind of do it one by one. That's how I feel comfortable doing it. But if you guys want to go ahead and tackle it all in one swoop and do it that way, please feel free to do it that way. But I just feel more comfortable doing it just like this. I feel like I get a better offset when I do it this way. I said it once, I'll say it again. There is no right or wrong when it comes to making art. However you feel comfortable doing something, do it that way. Once I have my decal all applied here, I'm going to come through and I'm just going to kind of warm it with my hand to make sure everything is nice and flat against my tumbler. Then it'll be time to add my little lemons here. Now I am, see, there I go. I'm warming it up with my hands. Okay, there we go. Now I'm using clear water slide paper for my decals here. Again, I'll put that shop into the description, so if you want to use these lemons, you can do that as well. I was a little nervous that they weren't going to show up with the yellow background, but again, it looks fabulous. Once I laid it over top, it just kind of gave it just a really natural feel to it, and I thought it went really well with the colors that I was doing here, so I'm pretty happy with how these colors turned out. And if you're brand new to making tumblers, congratulations, hello, welcome. I will make sure to attach a link right above here, or a little card slot right above here, to talk to you guys all about water slides and how to do those. And you guys already know, we can't forget our bottoms. Make sure you jazz up those bottoms. Make sure you form those water slides around to make it all form and look all as one. So here I am finishing up. I'm just making sure that I'm patting all that water out and making sure that they are completely smooth against our tumbler. I'm going to let that dry for about 30 minutes and then we'll be ready to apply the epoxy over top here. Now the epoxy that I'm using for this layer, because we're going to use that same epoxy that's left over for our lid, because we're moving on to our lid now. The epoxy that I'm using is my Amazing Quick Coat Epoxy, which is a fast set epoxy. Now you may have noticed that I did not tape off my rim this round. That's okay, because this is just my quick coat epoxy, just to make sure everything's sealed in before I do my last two finishing coats of my Amazing Plus clear coat. Which every round of epoxy after that, I will make sure that I tape off my rim really well, make sure I set that timer for about 15-20 minutes, then come back, peel that off, and she is good to go. Now we are ready to move on to our lid. All right, enough with the tumbler stuff. Let's move on to the super cool lid. Okay, all right. So let's talk about these ice cubes and the lemon slices that I use. Now I got these off of Amazon. Now as you can see, I got a lot of stuff here. I got a lot of lemon slices. I don't know what I'm going to do with all those lemon slices. And I got a lot of little ice cubes here. But you can obviously make these ice cubes yourself if you have a mold already to make ice cubes with your epoxy. You could do it that way. You could also go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and go to, oh, I'm dropping stuff here. Anyways, oh, there we go. I dropped another one. Okay, they're slippery. I don't know. Okay, anyways, but if you go over to the fake flower section at your local Michael's or Hobby Lobby, you can go to the vase fillers and you will find these exact same little doodads here that you can apply to the top as well. Now for the fake lemons. Now I've seen these done with fake lemons, limes, you can get cherries, you can get all kinds of fruit to go on top of your little ice toppers here. Wherever your imagination takes you, let it take you there. Okay, so here is the lid that I'm working with. Now this lid obviously comes with the tumbler. It is obviously stainless steel as well. And what I did was I etched out the center where I'm going to apply all my epoxy and everything like that, just so that way the epoxy has something to stick to. I etched it out really good with my sandpaper. I washed it really good. And now we're ready to apply our ice and our lemon. Now again, I am working with that same epoxy that we use on our tumbler. It has been sitting for a little bit. This is that quick coat epoxy, so that way we can use it and it sets up pretty fast for us, so that way we can apply all of our little things to our lid here. I am just going to apply a thin layer of epoxy to the bottom because we obviously are going to come through and keep applying epoxy as we go along. But I just kind of want to get a little bit of a base coat of epoxy going first. And I'm just going to make sure that I keep it all right inside of that center of our lid without going near the straw hole. Now, I've seen this done lots of different ways. You could use your UV resin for this, so that way it cures a little bit faster. You could hot glue it down, then you could cure it with your resin over top if you'd like to, but this way was just fine for me. This is what I had on hand, so this is what I'm gonna do. Now, right where that dent is there in the lid, I'm gonna take my cubes, because you can see they're not cube shaped, they're kind of all kinds of shapes there. So I'm just gonna find the flattest surface possible and lay that down onto my lid. Then I'm just gonna take all these little cubes and just kind of fit them all together, almost like I'm playing Tetris. So it was a little fun like that because I felt like I was playing Tetris. And I'm just gonna do kind of a half circle all along the outer rim here. Now, I am all about whimsical, I am all about that. But I don't like my stuff too high off the top of my tumblers. That's just my personal preference. So I'm just making sure that everything kind of fits snugly together. And we're just going to do one layer of all these ice cubes right around here. So now that I am all done with that, I'm going to show you guys. I'm just going to take my epoxy. It's still pretty runny. It's about the consistency of honey at this point. And I'm just going to drizzle it right over the top of my ice. This is just going to make sure that everything is encapsulated. Am I saying that right? I don't really know. You guys know what I'm saying. You want to make sure there's no way that these ice cubes are going to pop off whenever people wash them. That's what you want to do. And you want to make sure that it's going to be easy to wash as well. Now, I obviously had this lid done for a while after I'm all done, and I have washed it. It's completely fine. You can take either a soft scrub brush and scrub it out and then let it dry really good, setting it on its side so that way there's no water stuck in anywhere. Or you can take even what you use to clean out your straws and kind of get in there and scrub everything down really well as well. So that way nothing kind of sits in there and makes any mildew or anything like that, because we don't want that. Okay, now that we have all of our ice cubes kind of set in there, now is the time to kind of come through and add our lemon. Now, as I said earlier, my epoxy is about the consistency of honey, so it's very sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm going to be able to line up my lemon really well. Then I'm going to come through and make sure that I can set my ice cubes in there as well to kind of prop it up while that epoxy is still curing, it is almost at that point where it is almost ready to be set up. So you just want to kind of work quickly. It goes pretty fast, and you just want to take your ice cubes and just make sure that they're going to fit in there nice and snug, because with the way that they're shaped, you can definitely stick them in there and make sure you can do that. So again, this is all just about layering, fitting your ice cubes in there, coming through with your epoxy and drizzling it really well so that way everything sticks down really good onto your lid here. So here you can see I'm going to come through and I'm actually going to add a couple more little fake ice cubes to the center. You want to make sure that you don't cover up your hole too much. And here I am just kind of drizzling that epoxy, or continuing to drizzle that epoxy. There we go. I know what I'm saying. You just want to make sure it's nice and coated with that epoxy. That's all you want to do, guys. That's it. You just want to make sure there's no weird holes in there where mildew can form whenever people are washing it and stuff like that. That's all you want to do. Now I am just going to continue to fill in and make sure everything looks nice. You don't want to fuss with it too much. I kind of fussed with mine too much because this was the first one I ever made. So I kind of fussed with it too much, but I really didn't need to. And I just want to fill in my ice cubes here, continue to drizzle over that epoxy, and that is all you want to do. It's as simple as that. I know you guys got this. Now, once you have those ice cubes the way you would like, you're going to let that cure along with your tumbler for about 3 days, and then she is ready to use. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.